Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 12 of the anime series Log Horizon. We're pretty much picking up right where we left off, still contained within the Palace of Eternal Ice, and Shiro and his crew are, very much in the thick of it, trying to feel out the people of the land, of course, led by the Sergi at Cowan and everything like that. And what I found really interesting was, I mentioned in my previous episode discussion that I thought there might be a love triangle thing going on very slightly, and I had just assumed that this was going to be with the princess and Shiro and maybe Krusty or something along those lines, or maybe, Akatsuki would end up getting upset, along those lines and everything. And it kind of did that because essentially we have Henrietta and Shiro going dancing, at this big gala ball that they're holding, and the people of the land still very inquisitive and but trying to keep their distance from the adventurers and everything. And you have Shiro basically packed into a corner. He's got to be the one to get out on the dance floor. Krusty's very manipulative, sort of playfully, to get him to be the one to do it. And you have Henrietta, who is a bard, using her bard-like skills to basically take him out dancing, and they put on a good show of it. They basically allay certain fears that the people of the land will have, and have been having, with these adventurers as they see them. These people who have come in and just made I think there are certain people of the land who think they've mucked up the situation, and others think, it could be a stepping stone to something grander. Of course, the next day, as the group is kind of having their breakfast and they're discussing the 10-day conglomerate that's going to be going on, having all these other nobles from all these other houses all over this area coming and talking about making deals and all this kind of stuff, having, letting their hair down, having some fun, all that. Basically, it's speculated by Shiro that the people of the land, the reason for calling them there in the first place, is to assess whether, as I speculated in my previous video, they are going to potentially be a threat, these adventurers. But more than that, it's also they want to be able to get in on the action. Quite surprisingly, the people of the land have been dependent on the adventurers, even though you would think it would be the other way around, because it's the people of the land who have been, handing out quests for adventurers to go on and everything. But ever since what they refer to as the May event, which is very interesting, this is also what they call the apocalypse, the adventurers do, but they say this is what brought on these changes. And before we get left in the dust, we have to make deals, we have to partnership with the adventurers. So this is all very intriguing, of course, and the beeline of the episode is, of course, cutting back and forth between that main plot and the plot of Minori and Toya going out with their little lower level players to a dungeon for the very first time to put their skills to the test. And of course you have Isuzu and Rundell House, or Rudy as he calls himself, Mr. Sparkles as I called him in the last video. He's Mr. Boast, talking about being much more badass than he actually is. And, they go in and they pretty much tear down the first group of skeletons they encounter, but they're not really adhering to a sort of sense of structure, the way Minori is and has been taught as they're in this dungeon, and they end up getting their asses handed to them and chased back out. And so it's problematic because they need to, become a unit, very much like we saw at the start of the series with Akatsuki, Naosugu, and Shiro. They very much were a fluid unit, and even adding in Nyanta, and they've basically fought like a well-oiled machine, but you don't have these lower-level players really knowing to do that yet. They just want to be, sort of living up their bravado and acting all badass, and they really need to become strategic in their approach. So it's going to be interesting to see them learning very hard luck the way of things. And of course, rounding out the end of the episode, we basically have, as this conglomeration is going to be starting essentially in this palace, you have Krusty making a move on the woman Lanessia, and I just have to wonder if she's going to be bored with him, like a yawn fest, and maybe she'll gravitate towards Shiro, or if he's going to be the one to really sweep her off her feet and make some sort of union happen. So yeah, I can't wait to see where this goes from here. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below if you're able to post what you thought of this episode, if you've seen it, where you think it's going to be going. And yeah, that'll be it for me on this, and I'll catch you later. Peace.